Johnny, have you looked at the NHL standings?
Nope, sorry, can't trick me. I'm not falling for it at game 60 of the season.
But they have games in.
Jersey guy, let me repeat this. I don't want to hear about it. Let me just enjoy these last 22 or so games and see what the kids can do. Don't get my hopes up until they are above the playoff bar. Everybody's hands go up, way up, as the Nashville Predators defeat their arch rival, the Chicago Blackhawks, by a score of 3-1 Saturday night inside the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. After giving up the first shot on goal he would face in this game, UC Saros would bar the door shut. No more would get by him. The next 27, he would all stop, as the Preds have now won 4 of their last 5 games. First game after the NHL trade deadline. No major roster changes are going to happen unless it's a call-up for probably emergency purposes coming up from the farm. Game 60 of the season. This team is now being run by the kids on the roster. And the top 6 that were dressed for this game, other than Matt Duchene, who is currently 32, all the rest are well under 25. I can't remember the last time this team's top 6 were so young on an average age basis. The enthusiasm these kids seem to be playing with, the enthusiasm they are injecting into the fan base, it would certainly be something if somehow, yes, with the games in hand, this team was able to pull off a miracle and get into a playoff spot. But let's not get our hopes up just yet until we see how this team plays against superior NHL teams. Because as a bonus with this road trip they're on, they're playing the lesser bunch from across the league. As I mentioned, Preds with a different looking lineup coming into this one, along with all the trades that were made this week. This team, other than Matt Duchene in the top 6, not being this young for the players who are going to be counted on to pull the weight moving forward for a very long time, if I really dig into my memory. You've even got Dante Fabro playing top defensive pair minutes with Roman Josi. And as you may have heard with David Pohl's comments after the trade deadline, moving forward with Fabro also being extended for 1 season, Poyle is hoping for Fabro to get more minutes because he knows what he is capable of. Well, Poyle may think he knows what Fabro is capable of, but the fan base certainly isn't surprised when just over 30 seconds into the game, in his own zone just at the blue line, bad turnover by Dante Fabro, and Athanasiou gets it ahead to Seth Jones, who goes right on in. His first shot of the Blackhawks on UC Saros in net. It's in 37 seconds into this game, and the Blackhawks are already up 1-0. And a part of me is trying not to get too stressed out because this is what I've psyched myself up for with this team for the last quarter of games on a schedule. But also with that, it's like, it's the Blackhawks. You don't want to have a trap game. You want to beat this team every time you play them. And well, would you look at that stat that Willie Donick and Chris Mason relayed to us via the Bally Sports broadcast? That's Seth Jones' first career NHL goal against a team that drafted him. About 5 minutes into the first period, Yakov Trenin would come oh so close to tying this game at 1, but the goalie, who has had the Preds number as he is a journeyman with the different teams he goes to, Peter Mizarek, stops Trenin. Shortly after that, Joey Anderson for the Blackhawks gets a breakaway going in on UC Saros, and UC Saros times it just right, and he comes out and gets the poke in, keeping the puck from going in his net. This would be followed up by Luke Evangelista coming also close with a backhand to tying this game, getting his first NHL goal, but it just goes wide. Oh, it's going to be so sweet when Luke scores his first NHL goal. Later, though, with the Preds on the first power play awarded to either team, Dickinson of the Blackhawks in the box for boarding Lazon. Newly acquired Tyson Berry gets it started late in the power play just when it's about to expire. From the blue line quarterbacking, he gets it over to Keith Sherwood, who you think is going to get credit for this goal, but he has the presence of mind to see somebody is wide open to Mizarek's left, and he Salsa's it too. Philip Tomasino with the tap-in past Mazurek, his second of the season. The Preds have tied this game right back up at 1. With about 7.5 left to go in the first period, the play is in the Blackhawks zone behind Mazurek to his left, and Tomasino plays the puck along the board, and he gets it away with enough time that he should have been left alone, but Andreas Englund of the Blackhawks crushes him into the board, and he kind of falls awkwardly, and Yakov Trenin comes to his defense, rounds up the Preds that this would happen, and because Yakov Trenin retaliated, you got Englund who gets a penalty, but you also got Yakov Trenin for roughing, and we would play 4-4. Tomasino would go back. He, under his own strength, would go back to the locker room to get checked out, and I didn't realize until the second period he never returned. Neither team would score during the ensuing 4-4. Under a minute, Preds with one last rush. Ryan McDonough with a point-blank chance to give the Preds a lead going into the intermission, but he is denied by Mazurek, and these arch rivals play out the first 20 minutes to a 1-1 tie. You know, by the end of the second period, I know I'm jumping ahead here and I'm going to jump back. By the end of the second period, the Blackhawks would outshoot the Preds 8-7, but you would never know it if you hadn't watched the first half of the second period where the Preds didn't generate a shot. Thank God they were playing the Blackhawks in the position that they're in, that it didn't cost them anything. Just under 7 minutes into the second period, Preds potentially get put behind the 8 ball if this costs them, because Sherwood gets called for interference on Nikita Zaitsev, but the Preds defense holds strong and prevents the Blackhawks from getting any serious chance. Preds take nearly half the period until they're finally able to generate their first shot on goal and are much stronger in the second half of the second period. And finally, just under 8 minutes left to go in the second period, after an offensive zone win, Tommy Novak gets it back to newly acquired Preds defenseman in the Matthias Ekholm trade, Tyson Barrie, who immediately takes a shot on net and through a screen provided by Evangelista, and Sherwood beats Mazurek. Preds have their first lead of the game, now up 2-1. Tyson Barrie's ears burning because leading into the weekend at his post-trade deadline press conference, David Poile did say that by acquiring Tyson Barrie in exchange for Matthias Ekholm, he still hoped that Barrie would help Josi carry the load on the back end offensively. Well, so far so good. Under 2 minutes left to go in the second period. Like I alluded to, Preds playing much better in the second half of the second period. It's just unfortunate that the period is about to end just as the Preds are capturing the momentum of the moment. And right before the second period horn sounds, Preds earn a power play on a delayed penalty against the Blackhawks. The horn sounds. 2-minute power play intact to start the third period. Preds lead 2-1 after 2 periods. Preds are able to maintain possession of the puck, keep the pressure almost the entire 2 minutes to start the third period with the power play that they earned in the Blackhawks zone, but are unable to convert. Preds, to their credit, keep the foot on the gas and keep the pressure dialed in. Keither Sherwood and Tommy Novak with chances about 4 minutes into the third period to extend the lead. And you've got Dickinson with a great chance just inside the Preds blue line to beat Saros, but Saros sees it and shuts the door. About 9.5 into the third period, Tommy Novak would give the Blackhawks another chance on the power play, but the Preds, who would go perfect on the penalty kill in this game, will kill that one off too. With about 7.25 left to go in the third period now, things getting serious. Preds trying to put the Blackhawks away. Recently acquired Rasmus Aston by the Preds from the Buffalo Sabres at yesterday's NHL trade deadline. Gets a one-time shot, but Mazurek is now showing off with the big glove save in the air to keep the Preds only ahead by 1. 5 minutes and change now, play in the Preds zone as Caleb Jones and Roman Josi trade barbs, and Caleb Jones roughs up Roman Josi, and they both go because Roman Josi tells this kid to mind his own business and kind of like sticks up for himself. Really? Caleb Jones for roughing and Roman Josi for embellishment? Are you kidding me, refs? Thanks, refs, for giving the Blackhawks the gimme of the trade-off of Caleb Jones and the Preds' best penalty killer, Roman Josi, off the ice for 2 minutes. Of course, the Blackhawks will take that opportunity. 3 minutes now left to go in regulation. The 4-on-4 has concluded. All hands on deck. Blackhawks trying to tie this up. The Preds trying to hang on for another win. Blackhawks will pull Peter Mazurek with just over 2 minutes left to go in regulation. The Blackhawks are buzzing. Seth Jones with a great chance with a shot through a screen that UC Saros is able to snare. Blackhawks with one more push, but the Preds stay aggressive and they don't let the Blackhawks get any real pressure or fortify themselves. And Colton Sissons is able to get control of the puck, shoot it from distance. It goes into the empty net. Preds win another game in Chicago by a final score of 3-1. This team continues to pleasantly impress as they are now 2 games comfortably clear of NHL 500. That being said, it's going to be interesting to see how this team will react if Philip Tomasino, who now joins the likes of Ryan Johansson and Philip Forsberg and Juuso Parssinen and now Alexander Carey on the injured list. Hopefully he's not out that long. And regardless of the length that he's out, NHL Department of Player Safety, could you please look at the England incident? If not a suspension, he's at least got to get fined for that incident. It's not safe what he did to Tomasino. As for the Preds, they still have 4 games left on this road trip. Very winnable games against the likes of Vancouver Monday, Arizona on Thursday. Yeah, LA is going to be tough next Saturday night, but another very winnable game a week from tomorrow in Anaheim to finish off the road trip. I know I have dragged John Hynes, and I will not apologize for that during different parts of this season with the way he constructs this lineup. But right now, with the position this team is in, probably not to make the playoffs. If they do, it'll be a miracle, a nice miracle. But you know what? Do what Barry Trotz did previously with a lesser lineup when he used to be head coach, now that he is about to take over as GM. Let the kids cook. This team is really starting to gel well. They've had the practice of being down in Milwaukee, and we'll see who has to join now if Philip Tomasino is out for any period of time. What does that mean by letting them cook? That means let them play together, keep these lineups intact, don't shake it up too much, let them gel, let them build strength, let them bond off and on the ice, and by doing so, if not next year, in the ensuing seasons to come, they'll play much farther than just mid-April. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like it. You can find my social media by clicking on a channel name. Tell all your friends about Redemption. 22 games left. Just about a quarter left to go of the Preds season. And one more time for the folks in the back, I will say it one more time loud and proud. Barry, John, and of course David, let the kids cook.